What is up everyone, it's Saber here and welcome to another Naruto What If. If you end up liking the video, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can take it back at any time and it really helps me out, and this is my third channel, so if you want some more what ifs, go check out my other channels. And with all of the YouTube formalities out of the way, let's get into it. Inside the tallest building in Konoha, the Hokage Tower, an old man wearing white robes and a red hat with the word fire embedded on the front side, holding a pen in one hand and important paperwork in the other. The man carefully scanned the paper before writing his signature on the bottom. From time to time the old man would glance at the door as if he was waiting for someone to enter. Knock knock. Hearing the knock on the door, the old man smiled and placed down the paperwork he was holding, putting a paperweight on top to keep it from flying away. Come in, the old man said loud enough for the person on the other side to hear him. The door creaked as it opened, revealing a ninja wearing a cat-shaped mask. The ninja had brown hair and bronze skin. He originally had a fair complexion, but doing many missions under the sunlight made his skin tan like bronze. This ninja was part of the ANBU that the Hokage commands. Lord Hokage, here is the newborn you are looking for. The ANBU knelt carefully, placing the baby he was holding on a wooden cradle prepared beforehand. After putting down the baby, the ANBU didn't spare it another glance, showing neither curiosity nor care. As an ANBU, he must not question or show interest in the Hokage's actions, requests, or orders. He should only obey the Hokage's will with unyielding loyalty and determination, as that is his duty. The old man glanced at the baby before waving his hand to dismiss the ANBU. Good work, you may go. Understood, Lord Hokage. After bowing to the old man, the Hokage, the ANBU left after carefully closing the door as to not disturb the sleeping baby. As the ANBU ninja closed the door, Hiruzen's gaze lingered on the door before he released a long sigh. Then his gaze shifted to the baby who was sleeping on the wooden cradle. The cradle had a white cushion and blankets in order to let the baby sleep comfortably. Nodding his head in satisfaction, Hiruzen's eyes wandered into the baby's hair. The baby had a unique hair color. Each strand came out as golden yellow, but as it grew and aged it turned into a deep crimson red. Looking at the baby's hair, it reminded Hiruzen of the sunset. It was a true beauty, but Hiruzen couldn't admire its beauty for long. It wasn't because he disliked the child, no, it was because this child is the jailer of the most powerful tailed beast in the world. This child is the Nine Tails Jinchuriki Minato. Thinking about the child's father, Namikaze Minato, the fourth Hokage, Hiruzen couldn't help but feel some regret. Why did such a young excellent ninja have to die so early? Although Hiruzen said that he was fully aware of the fact that shinobi who lived into elderly were rare, such feat is only possible with immense luck. No matter how powerful or skilled you are, if you aren't lucky enough, you will meet your death sooner rather than later. Turning his gaze into the window, Hiruzen felt a headache brewing. As the Hokage, he had the power to decide this child's fate, but did he have the heart to do so for the first time? Hiruzen wished that he was not the Hokage who gets to decide his people's fate. As the Jinchuriki of Konoha, Hiruzen had the responsibility to ensure that the child before him is capable of controlling the Nine Tails power. That way he could become a deterrent against the other major ninja villages, or a weapon for the village when the time comes. Yet as a man who had children, Hiruzen found it hard to mold such a young child into the fate of a shinobi. He wished to give the child a normal and happy life, even though he knew it was nigh impossible. Hiruzen found himself unable to make a decision. For the first time he became the Hokage at a young age and was very wise when he was at his peak, but now that he was old he couldn't even make a simple decision regarding the village's strongest asset. Hashirama may have comforted him, but his sensei would definitely reprimand him. What to do? Should I give him to Danzo? Danzo had been searching for young talents lately, and his root shinobi shows some potential. As he scratched his chin in search of enlightenment, a sudden knock at the door woke him up from his dark thoughts. Come in, Lord Hokage. When the door opened, it revealed the silver-haired youth wearing a dog-shaped ANBU mask. Inu, what brought you here? Looking at the ninja who entered the office and knelt, Hiruzen felt his heart throbbing with guilt. Before this young ninja came in, he was considering the idea of giving the boy to Danzo. Now thinking about it again, doing so was a terrible idea, and doing so would betray Minato's trust in him. How could I forget about Danzo's wickedness? Lord Hokage, I have a request. A request? That's rare. Normally ANBU ninjas wouldn't dare make requests to their Hokage unless it was absolutely necessary. It was even more so for the ninja in front of him. Go on, let me hear your request. Lord Hokage, I wish to adopt Sensei's the fourth Hokage's son. Oh, the ever so serious Kakashi made a mistake. Is something going to happen today? After Suppressing the smirk that threatened to emerge from his elderly face, Hiruzen weighed the request that Kakashi made while scolding himself internally. I'm getting too old for this. To think that I almost joked around at a time like this. Inu, you know very well that your request is not possible, although I wish I could make you his guardian, Hiruzen added on his mind, but refrained from saying it to the young Anbu. But Kakashi started, but was cut off by Hiruzen. If you are worried about the boys' safety, don't worry, Hiruzen smiled to comfort the young ninja. I will make sure that the boy is well protected. Hearing this, Kakashi stayed silent for a while. Then I thank the Hokage for his benevolence. After saying so, he lowered his head to bow to the Hokage. You may leave. After watching Kakashi leave, Hiruzen glanced at the red-haired baby and his eyes widened. Inside the cradle, pale lavender eyes stared right into his eyes, giving him shivers and goosebumps. It gave him the illusion that the boy was judging his every word, action, and thought, but he quickly dismissed the idea. What am I talking about? That is just a newborn child. I'm too tired and too old for this shit. 4 years later, in one of Konoha's public playground, a tall sandcastle was erected. It was 4 feet tall, intricately designed with countless details. If you ignored the color of the sand and imagine that it was built with stone and wood instead, then the sandcastle would become a real miniature castle. This realistic castle was built by one child, a child with red hair and lavender eyes. Said child was currently sitting down on the sand, fiddling around with the plastic bucket he brought with him. Sigh. With a sigh, the boy threw the bucket away, and it just so happened to hit the castle, making it crumble down. Looking at the scene, the boy scratched his head. He just finished building that tedious sandcastle, and it crumbled just like that. TSK. The boy looked around, bored to death. There were no other children around him, but he was used to it. Every time he came to the playground, all the parents and children would run away in a rush. One time he asked why they would run away, but all he got were cold shoulders. Who's that? The boy's eyes locked on one man standing idly by a closed shop. Looking closely, he realized that the man was a ninja. The ninja wore his forehead protector on his neck. His left hand was tucked on the pockets of his pants, and his right hand held a small book with weird symbols. Suddenly the ninja scowled and threw the book away. The book landed on a nearby light post, and the ninja walked away without turning back. Why did he throw it away? The boy asked, his curiosity peaking. Looking around, he realized that no one was around. He threw it away so it won't be considered stealing if I picked it up, right? Convincing himself, the boy walked toward the book on his toes, hands tucked in his pockets, as if he was leisurely strolling around. When he was close enough to the book, he knelt down and picked it up. Bark. Suddenly a dog barked, and the boy's soul leapt to the clouds. Before returning to his body, gripping the book tightly with his hands, the boy ran as fast as he could and returned to his apartment. Closing the door behind him, the boy opened the book and began to read its contents. Wow, what's this? This is so cool. It's easy to understand too. Why did that ninja throw it away? Confused, the boy closed the book and flipped it over and read the book's cover. Tilting his head, the boy Uzumaki Naruto read the book's title aloud. The Art of Fuinjutsu. Time skip. On a wooden chair, Naruto sat with both of his legs crossed, his eyes glued to the pages of a book. The book had a crimson red for the cover with a whirlpool pattern enveloping the entire book. In the middle, bold letters read, The Art of Fuinjutsu. It's been 2 days since he got this book from that careless ninja. Ever since then, he found himself addicted to reading. He finished reading the entire book on the first day, but he found himself unable to let go of the book and kept reading it over and over again. It came to the point where he would always carry the book no matter if he was outside or in the toilet. From Naruto's mouth a girlish squeal came out while he hugged the book like it was his long-lost brother. Fuinjutsu is so awesome. Flipping the pages one after the other, Naruto's eyes sparkled with endless delight. After reading it so many times, he could now recite the entire book by memory. The Art of Fuinjutsu talked about the beginner level of Fuinjutsu stuff like the special ink and paper required, basic patterns in Fuinjutsu and common Fuinjutsu roadblocks were carefully explained in detail to make it easier to understand, but it still came out as gibberish garbage to most people. Only those with talent or interest in Fuinjutsu will spend the time reading this complex literature. The book also mentioned how objects and living beings can be sealed into other objects or living beings. There was even a chapter about 2 sealing masters who was able to seal a living person's consciousness into another person, and a seal master who could permanently disable someone's body part simply by touching them. I wish I could make seals, but I don't know what chakra is. Naruto knew very little about chakra. He only knew that chakra is used to form ninjutsu, that ninjas use them, and that people need chakra to live. I wonder if there are books about chakra in the library. but the librarians would always kick me out as soon as he finished the sentence. His head lowered, sorrow seeping into his eyes, his smile turning into a frown. And no, maybe there's a library that wouldn't kick me out. Convincing himself, Naruto stood up. After standing up, Naruto felt something fall, and looking down he realized that paper wrappers were all over the place. He was eating some snacks wrapped in paper wrappers while he read, and after some time he forgot about it and only remembered now. What a mess. Thud thud thud. Rushing to the corner near the door, Naruto grabbed a broom and a dustpan and swept the floor clean. Satisfied, he threw the waste into the trash bin. As he was about to twist the doorknob, Naruto caught a glimpse of something red in the corner of his eyes. Looking toward its direction, Naruto squinted his eyes and realized that it was his coin purse. Picking it up, he opened the wallet with a pop. Frowning, Naruto poured the coin purse's content into the table. Tack, tack, tack. Rubbing his eyes, Naruto counted the number of coins that fell from the coin purse. 2 and 11. Really only that. 2 silver coins and 11 bronze coins. 1 silver coin is equal to 50 bronze coins. At 3 days of living expenses usually cost 1 silver or 50 bronze coins. We're still in the middle of August. What do I do? Rubbing his forehead in search of enlightenment, Naruto came up with a brilliant idea and tucked his coin purse into his pants. After putting the coins back, leaving his apartment, Naruto went to the nearest library he could find. The library was painted in brown and looked clean, with the garden surrounding it. Entering through the dark wooden door, Naruto cautiously walked around and searched for the books he was looking for. It didn't take long before his nervous frown turned into a small grin, his eyes sparkling like stars in the night. Approaching the bookshelf labeled number 301, Naruto took 2 books that were as big as his head. Heavy hugging the 2 books, Naruto walked around the library in search of an empty seat, but found none there. But why is it inside a room? Looking above the door, he saw another label similar to the one above the bookshelf, number 9. Are there more? Looking to the left, he saw 8 other rooms, all of which were occupied by other people, evident by the closed doors. I guess I can use this one. Entering the room, he placed the 2 books down and was about to close the door when someone called out to him, "Hey!" Hearing the quiet yet firm, deep voice, Naruto flinched. Oh no, are they going to kick me out? I finally found the books I was looking for. Forcing a smile on his face, Naruto turned to the man who called to him. Sir, that's a private room. You have to pay in order to stay there. 1 day is 1 silver coin. Snacks are free. Are you going to rent the room? They aren't kicking me out. Hearing the man's explanation, Naruto reached for his pocket before he halted. Wait, 1 silver coin? You own 1 silver coin? Seeing the hesitant look on Naruto's face, the man who was the librarian adjusted his glasses and narrowed his eyes. Yes, 1 silver. The room provides a quiet place for the readers so they aren't disturbed. The librarian pointed to the tray nearby. And the snacks are provided by the library. Of course there is a limit to the free snacks, but you can pay more if you want more snacks while there are free snacks. I guess it's a food deal. It's just 1 silver. Oh, 1 silver. Damn, I forgot about that. Whilst he cried rivers of blood inside his mind, he reluctantly pulled out a silver coin and handed it to the librarian. Looking at the bitter face of the red-haired boy in front of him, the librarian scratched his head. Then you can write your name here and sign. Then the librarian handed Naruto a piece of paper. After Naruto wrote his name and signed, the librarian smiled and left, after reminding him, by the way, the hours are counted only when you are inside the library, so you can spend 10 hours here and come back tomorrow and still have 14 hours. After the librarian left, Naruto sat down and opened the first book. It was titled The Origins of Chakra, and the author was a senju. After reading the first pages, Naruto had an idea as to what the rest of the book is about. So far it explained where chakra came from, how to manifest chakra, and how chakra develops inside the human body. After 30 minutes, Naruto's eyes were begging to move away from the complicated book he was reading. After 30 minutes, I've read half of the book. I should rest for a moment. So far I've learned that a human being is born with a tiny amount of chakra to survive. At the age of 3 the chakra system will start to form, and at the age of 4 a simple chakra system is developed. By the age of 10 to 15 the chakra system will mature, and it will be difficult to increase a person's chakra capacity. Slurp, crunch, crunch. After drinking a cup of juice and eating the plate of biscuits, Naruto picked up the second book, titled Chakra and Its Uses, and began to read. 5 minutes later, Naruto realized that although chakra and its uses was thicker than the origins of chakra, it was much simpler and easier to read. Looking at the author's name, Naruto couldn't recognize it and assumed that the person who wrote the book wasn't from any major clans. After 30 minutes passed, Naruto closed the book and sighed. He finished reading the book 10 minutes ago, but he decided to read it again, making sure he didn't Forget anything. Although the first book said that it is difficult to increase the chakra capacity after the chakra system matures, the second book argues that there are special methods to keep improving the chakra system as well as the chakra capacity. It even mentions something about the Uzumaki clan. Am I part of that clan? My last name is Uzumaki. After all, Naruto drank the last cup of juice and the cookies that was delivered to him 5 minutes ago before picking up the first book. After this, I should leave. I shouldn't waste any of that 1 silver, as he predicted. After 40 minutes Naruto finished reading both books. Yawn, that was tiring. Although the last half of the first book took 10 minutes longer than the first half, I still managed to finish it. After I go home I'll practice chakra control. Since I am already 4 years old, I should be able to access some of my chakra. Standing up, Naruto hugged the 2 books again, and returned them to bookshelf number 301. Just as he opened the door to leave, Naruto peeked at the librarian and saw that he was reading a small orange book while sipping on a cup of tea. I wonder what he is reading. After Naruto left, the librarian shifted his gaze from the small orange book into the door. Siep. After putting the book down, he took a sip from his tea and thought, so that's the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. I heard he is a violent monster and that he will bring misfortune wherever he goes, but that doesn't seem to be the case. How can such a lovely child be a monster? Sigh. Only fools will believe such groundless rumors. After letting out a sigh, he took out a book full of records and flipped the pages until he saw Naruto's name, Uzumaki. Naruto, roughly 2 hours. Since it's his first time I'll deduct 30 minutes, so in total he spent 1 hour and 30 minutes in the private room. Scribble. After writing down 1:30 next to the 2400 hours under Naruto's name, he closed the record book and placed it under his desk, then opened the small orange book and let out a suspicious chuckle. In the middle of the room a young boy sat on a chair, his hair sticking to his forehead, his back soaked in sweat, his breathing was rough and his throat was dry. It felt like he hadn't drunk a drop of water for a whole year. Ugh. Suddenly the boy leaned forward, falling off the chair with one hand covering his mouth. Gulp. Eyes shaking, the boy gulped whatever threatened to come out of his mouth, used his other hand to support himself, and stood up while leaning against the wall. This is the boy thought I should have paid more attention. Flashback. A week ago, returning from the library, Naruto walked around the village before heading home. It wasn't that he wants to tour around the village. No way, he hated walking around the village. He walked around the village only because he wanted to find a shop that sold ink and paper. In the end he found none, but he wasn't dismayed. Since there aren't any shops here that sell ink and paper, I'll have to look into other areas of the village. Once he reached his apartment, the first thing that Naruto did was lay down in his bed. So tired, forgetting about his grumbling stomach, Naruto succumbed to his fate and closed his heavy eyelids. Entering Slumber Town, all the reading he did back at the library made him tired, and after walking around the village, Naruto couldn't take it anymore and slept until the next dawn. Yawn. Standing up, Naruto prepared breakfast. Today's breakfast is simple: eggs, bread, and a glass of milk. Glancing at the wall clock, 8:20, Naruto sat on a chair, chewing the crunchy slice of bread that he toasted. Naruto recalled the books he read yesterday. According to what I read yesterday, I should be able to sense my chakra, as I already have the beginnings of a chakra system. Gulping down the glass of milk, Naruto washed the dishes and utensils he used and swept the floor clean with a broom. After doing so, he pulled out a carpet from under his bed and spread it open on the floor. After locking the door and closing the windows, Naruto smiled and patted away the imaginary dust on his shoulders. Then he sat on the carpet. At last I can start my training with this. My dream of learning Fuinjutsu is one step closer. Grinning, Naruto closed his eyes and took deep breaths to calm down. For a few minutes later, Naruto felt that he was calm enough and tried to sense his chakra. Oops, I don't know how to sense chakra. Thankfully, after some trial and error, Naruto felt something warm inside him and realized that it was his chakra. Focusing on the feeling, Naruto concentrated, so bright, resisting the urge to open his eyes. Naruto kept feeling his chakra to get used to it. I didn't know chakra would be so bright and intense like fire, but without the pain it even feels a little warm. Is this what those ninjas feel every day? I wonder if my chakra is a lot or very little. After feeling his chakra for a while, Naruto got out of his trance and remembered his purpose. Right, the first exercise of chakra control is allowing the body to get used to moving chakra. For that I must circulate my chakra throughout my entire body. The natural flow of chakra is clockwise, so I suppose I have to circulate my chakra clockwise. Following his guess, Naruto began circulating his chakra throughout his entire body, from his head to his torso, from his torso to his arms and legs, and from his arms and legs back to his torso and head. Repeating the process, Naruto couldn't keep the corner of his mouth from arching upwards. This is easier than I thought, eh? Civilians' chakra system would mature at the age of 10 at most. Most civilians would awaken their chakra system at the age of 4 and have it mature by the age of 6 to 8. On the other hand, children from shinobi clans would awaken their chakra system at the age of 4 and have it mature by the age of 14 to 15, fully exploiting the natural development of their chakra system by delaying it without training like the one Naruto is doing. A child from a shinobi clan will have their chakra system mature at the age of 12 or 13 by delaying it using chakra exercises to stimulate the chakra system. They would delay their chakra systems from maturing, developing their chakra system for an extended period of time, thereby increasing their chakra system's efficiency and increasing their chakra level. As Naruto is from the Uzumaki clan, as well as the fact that his father was a genius with high chakra levels. Despite being a civilian with no clan affiliations, Naruto's chakra level is massive, not to mention that he is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. With such a massive chakra level, it became easier to perform the exercise he was doing. Obviously, a massive chakra level means that finer chakra control is difficult, but controlling a lot of chakra is a piece of cake for Naruto. After circulating his chakra for the 100th time, Naruto opened his eyes. Water, I need water. Rushing to the sink, Naruto gulped down every drop of water that poured from the faucet like a man stranded in a desert who hadn't licked water for the past week. After drinking a large volume of water, Naruto shivered, touching his arms. Naruto felt that his arms were wet and a little sticky. Looking at his body, he realized that he was soaked in sweat. His clothes stuck to his body while his hair now stuck to his head like a withered plant. Left with no other choice, Naruto picked a clean pair of clothes and bathed. 15 minutes later, he emerged from the bathroom. Grumble ha. After bathing, Naruto felt a sudden wave of hunger. But I just ate breakfast. Glancing at the wall clock, Naruto blinked. 1 o'clock. Rubbing his eyes, Naruto felt that something was wrong. 1 o'clock. Is the clock broken? Shaking his head, Naruto went to the windows and opened them. Creak. Squinting his eyes, Naruto was met with the bright sunlight. Looking up at the sky, Naruto's eyes widened to the size of dinner plates. Is it really 1 o'clock in the afternoon? The clock wasn't broken. Shutting the windows closed, Naruto went back to the carpet. He laid on the floor and touched it, planning to sit down. As soon as his hand touched the carpet, Naruto cringed. Thankfully, I didn't sit immediately and tested it with my hands. It's soaking wet. Is this all from my sweat? No wonder I felt dehydrated. After opening my eyes, shaking his head, Naruto sensed his chakra while standing up, and his frown finally turned into a smile. It seems that the exercise worked. Now it's easier to circulate my chakra, but I should eat first before continuing my training. I don't have anything to do anyway, and doing anything on an empty stomach is inefficient. After eating lunch, Naruto replaced the carpet on the floor with a spare rug and sat down, his eyes closed, circulating his chakra around his body. Naruto thought, according to the art of Fuinjutsu, the basic requirement to creating seals is the ability to release a steady stream of chakra from your fingers and palm. What's more, the chakra must be stable and calm, otherwise it would create an unstable seal. Stretching his right arm forward with his palm facing the ceiling, Naruto controlled his chakra and released it from his palm. Did it work? Opening his eyes, Naruto was confused when he didn't see anything on his palm. I clearly feel that I'm outputting chakra from my palms. Focusing again, Naruto nodded his head in understanding. He realized that the chakra output was too low, resulting in the chakra not being visible to the naked eye. I need the chakra to be visible. The art of Fuinjutsu stated that the chakra must be visible or I can forget creating seals. Concentrating, Naruto increased his chakra output. That hurts. Suddenly Naruto felt a sharp pain on his palm. Looking at his palm, he saw a small circular wound that was bleeding. Did I use too much chakra that I injured myself? The book didn't say anything about hidden dangers when exercising chakra control. The water poured over Naruto's right hand, carrying with it the blood that flowed from the thumb-sized circular wound on his palm. Ow, it hurts. Thankfully the wound was shallow, so the pain was less. Popping the lid off the red box with a white cross drawn in the middle, Naruto took out a white bandage and wrapped it around his hand to avoid dirt getting on the fresh wound. After the bandage was wrapped firmly in his palm, Naruto sighed in relief. He had no idea that it was possible to injure yourself using your own chakra, but he should have expected it. Chakra was the fuel for ninjutsu that ninjas used. It made sense that there would be danger in handling it carelessly. The next time I go to the library, I'll look for books that explain the dangers of handling chakra. And Naruto thought he was annoyed that the books he read before the origins of chakra and its uses didn't warn him about the dangers when doing chakra control exercises. After making sure that the wound on his palm was no longer bleeding, Naruto sat on the carpet. He laid on the floor, cupping his hand on his chin. Naruto thought of the reasons why he injured himself. Perhaps my body is still not used to releasing so much chakra at once, hence the thumb-sized wound where I release the chakra. Then the solution is simple, I just have to slowly increase my chakra output instead of releasing it all at once. That way not only will my body get used to releasing chakra, I would also know when to stop and avoid injuring myself. But what if that's not the case? Closing his eyes, Naruto moved his chakra into his left palm. I guess I'll find out this time. Instead of releasing massive amounts of chakra at once, he let out a steady flow of chakra, slowly increasing his chakra output every second. With feeling a breeze pass by, Naruto opened his eyes and a smile bloomed on his face. Finally it worked. On his palm there was a gathering of blue chakra. The chakra covered his entire palm, jumping up and down as if it were boiling water. Frowning, Naruto moved his hand to the side. The moment his hand moved even a bit, the chakra on his palm dispersed and his hand went numb. Is the chakra unstable, he thought, gritting his teeth. Naruto once again released a steady flow of chakra like before. This time he didn't close his eyes as chakra covered his palm. Naruto's eyes shined and his excitement bubbled. Can I add more chakra? Thinking so, Naruto increased his chakra output. As the chakra output got stronger, the chakra on his palm began to shake and spike, but it didn't expand. His forehead was covered in sweat, but he didn't bother wiping it away and focused only on maintaining the chakra on his palm. However, no matter how much chakra he added, the volume of the chakra on his palm remained the same. Rather, every time more chakra was added, it would disperse into the air with a sizzling sound like water evaporating as it touches a hot surface. It's getting hot. As he increased the chakra output, the chakra on his palm began to heat up and his hand felt like it was holding fire. Taking a deep breath, Naruto endured the pain and maintained the chakra on his palm instead of letting it disperse. If I can't endure this, then forget Fuinjutsu. I won't even be able to control chakra. Endure. Naruto's thought process was simple. He wanted to endure the pain so that his body would get used to it and adapt, much like how the more you trained your body, the stronger it becomes. As he kept the unstable chakra on his palm, he felt his hand becoming numb. His arm felt powerless and heavy, like it was giving away all its energy to his hand in order to maintain the chakra output. 30 minutes later, sweat dripped from his head drop by drop. Out of breath, Naruto took deep breaths. A few seconds later, his rapidly beating heart calmed down. Grabbing a cup of water with his right hand, Naruto drank it in one go. After 30 minutes of maintaining the chakra on his palm, Naruto could barely feel his left hand. His left arm from wrist to shoulder felt numb and heavy. Looking closely, he realized that his left hand was shaking wildly. In an attempt to stop it, Naruto clenched his hand into a fist. However, he realized that he couldn't move a single finger on his left hand, much less closing it. He couldn't even force his fingers to twitch in no way. Using his right hand, Naruto touched his left hand to force it close. Not expecting a sharp pain, Naruto fell to the floor with tears in the corner of his eyes. The moment his right hand touched his left hand, Naruto felt like he stabbed his left hand with a hot knife. What's going on? Unsure of what to do, Naruto held his left wrist instead of his hand and waited until he could feel his hand again. Sure enough, after 10 minutes he could move his hand again, only this time his entire left hand felt as if thousands of ants were chowing it down. Gritting his teeth, Naruto resisted the urge to touch his hand lest he makes the pain worse. After another 10 minutes the sensation disappeared and Naruto was free to move his left hand. That was scary. I thought I wouldn't be able to move my left hand again. Naruto shivered, closing his hand into a fist and then opening it again. Naruto was relieved that nothing unexpected happened. Glancing at the clock, Naruto realized that there was still some time before he goes to bed. Let's see. Releasing chakra from his left hand, Naruto watched as his palm got covered in blue chakra. This time it was calmer. Waving his left hand around, Naruto smiled. The chakra didn't dissipate completely, although some chakra still disperse when I move my hand. Most of the chakra stays. If I keep this up, I should be able to master it by tomorrow. For now, I need to sleep. The next day, in the streets of Konoha, a short figure wearing a black cloak strolled around with his head lowered. The short figure was Naruto, and he was looking for a shop that sold cheap masks. The cloak hid his hair, but he had nothing to cover his whiskers. He often saw people wearing masks that covered the lower part of their face, so he thought that it wouldn't be strange if he did the same. Why are masks so expensive? He already came across 2 shops that sold the masks he was looking for, but he couldn't afford them. He only had 100 ryo to spare, but the masks that were being sold were more than 100 ryo, even the cheapest one. I need a way to make money, but how will it? Kid, watch where you're going. As he was lost in thought, he bumped into a civilian. Hearing the loud voice of what he assumed was a burly man, Naruto flinched, but he didn't look up. If he did, his face would be revealed along With his whiskers sorry. Without waiting for the man's response, Naruto bolted into the distance. Hey, don't run too fast, what's wrong with that kid? Shaking his head, the man went back to whatever he was doing. After running into an alleyway, Naruto made sure that no one was around and took off his cloak. It was a sunny day and he felt like he was burning from wearing that black cloak. Wiping away the sweat on his face, Naruto turned to leave. Isn't he? Suddenly he heard someone's voice behind him. Looking back, Naruto gulped. It was a ninja wearing a blank white mask. Somehow Naruto felt like winter had come the moment he turned. Oh crap, he saw my face. Looking through the gaps in the white mask, he could see the disgust and malice in the ninja's eyes. Sorry sir, I'll go now. Turning away from the ninja, Naruto ran away. I can't move. However, before he could take a step, he froze in place. He was scared, sure, but he wasn't so terrified that he couldn't move. The ninja is doing it on purpose. I have to get out of here. Every cell on his body was screaming for him to run away, but alas, he couldn't move an inch. Want to run away? Not on my watch. As the ninja spoke, Naruto saw him look at the sky through the corner of his eyes. Why is he looking up? It's my lucky day. The ANBU guards are switching shifts. Then the man walked toward him. Hey, are you scared? Naruto didn't want to answer that question. He could tell that the ninja was amused by his tone and the way his eyes curved inside the mask. He could almost see the sadistic grin on the ninja's face. My brother, my younger brother, was so scared that night he watched our parents die while he dodged your claw by a hair's width. Hey you monster, can you hear me? Do you know what fear feels like? How it feels to watch your family die in front of you while you are powerless to save them. The ninja grabbed Naruto's jaw and forced him to look directly in his eyes. They were brown, but the malice and hatred inside those eyes made them look darker, like black. I know you can hear me even if you're inside that seal. This is my revenge for my brother, you heartless beast. Do you know how traumatized my brother was because of you? He cried every second he was awake. He tried to take his life with every chance he got. Do you know how it feels to see the only person left in your life lifeless on the floor holding a knife that pierced through his heart? Do you? Naruto winced. His jaw hurt, his ears hurt, but most of all his heart hurt. I didn't do it. I don't know any of that. I'm sorry, please forgive me. He didn't do any of what the ninja said. He didn't even know what most of the ninjas said, but he could feel what the man was feeling. It was a magical thing. He didn't know how it felt to see a loved one die, but after hearing the man, he felt like his heart was about to burst. Slowly tears escaped from his eyes, as well as from the ninja's white mask. I'm sorry, Naruto could barely say. He didn't know what he was apologizing for, but he was too scared to care. You're sorry. If you're sorry, then atone for your sins. Suddenly a kunai flashed in the ninja's hand, and he plunged it into Naruto's heart. The moment the blade of the kunai touched my skin, I understood what it means to be cruel. The kunai was not sharp like a dull knife trying to cut an onion. It was painful. Every moment was an eternity. Seconds turned into years. Each instant that passed, I could feel the cold blade tearing my skin apart like a child pulling a teddy bear's body and head, at the same time tearing it in half. I screamed and screamed, but it was like no one cared. The villagers passed by the narrow alley without even a glance. Then, perhaps exhilarated from hearing my screams, the ninja's hand slowed down, dragging on the agonizing pain. Soon the cold blade reached and pierced my heart, and then there was nothing. I fell into the abyss of the subconscious. Suddenly a monstrous roar echoed throughout Konoha. The air became arid. Vile chakra contaminated the wind. The civilians froze, their minds turning blank. For a moment the entire Konoha was like a painting, frozen and unmoving. There was only one thing on the civilians' minds: the QB. The QB is attacking again. Son, my son, where are you? Papa. Like a domino being pushed down after one civilian screamed in terror. The rest of the civilians followed, and in an instant the village was thrown into pandemonium. Some civilians fainted on the spot, their eyes still wide from terror. Some ran as fast as they could, some hid in their homes. Help, please stop. Ah, help me, sob mama, sob. Panicked, the civilians formed a stampede. The weak would fall and be trampled, while the strong would run away without caring for the people they stepped on. It was human selfishness at its finest. A frown formed on Hiruzen's face. Not a moment later, after the malicious chakra was released, he shot up from his chair and donned his battle armor. He was ready for battle. Whoosh, sir. One after another, like bees storming out of their hive after being provoked, dozens of ANBU landed in front of Hiruzen. All of them knelt awaiting his orders. What happened? Why is the QB's chakra rampaging in the village? Hiruzen asked. He was savoring the moment of freedom after he finished his paperwork, but now this happened, sir. A root ninja provoked the Jinchuriki and tried to kill him. An ANBU at the front spoke up. He needn't say anything else. Hiruzen understood. Everything from that sentence alone. Okay, follow me to the Jinchuriki's location. Alert all the Chunin and Genin to evacuate the civilians. Inform the Jonin to guard the Jinchuriki's location and stand by for backup. Understood, sir. Then they all turned into shadows and rushed to Naruto's direction. Nine Tails, have you finally awoken? Woo whoosh. The wind raged around Naruto and the Root Ninja, but the latter only laughed when facing a natural calamity. His brown eyes glowed in ecstasy as he watched the bubbling red chakra cover Naruto's body. His mask cracked as the wind blew in his direction, but he didn't bother putting any protection. He didn't even care about his own safety. Why would he care about the safety of the civilians around them? His intention was never to kill Naruto. He only wanted the Kyuubi to manifest once more. Crack crack. His laughter became louder as his mask eroded from the Kyuubi's chakra. Glaring at him, Naruto charged at the Root Ninja and punched his face. Bang spike in one attack. The man's head burst open, his brain became mush and his skull shattered, splashing and sticking into the walls around him. Naruto was covered in blood and gore, but he didn't seem to notice it. Seeing the Root Ninja die in one move, Naruto roared at the Root Ninja's body. The shockwave generated from his roar tore the man's body into pieces, splattering all over his body, the ground, and the civilians around him. Blood monster. The civilians, who were covered in blood, were horrified, their eyes widening in terror. They didn't dare to breathe for fear of smelling blood, and they didn't dare to speak for fear of tasting the ground-up human flesh and guts that covered their faces. Naruto roared, turning his head to the civilians who were left behind. Seeing Naruto's feral face that failed to match his age, the civilians fainted all at once. Kyuubi bang. Before he could do anything else, Naruto was hit by staff as hard as a diamond, and was pushed back. It was Hiruzen wielding his adamantine staff. Monkey King Enma, seeing the Kyuubi's chakra around Naruto, Hiruzen narrowed his eyes. Seal the Kyuubi away, force it back into the seal. Hiruzen ordered. Yes sir. Sealing Team 1, follow me. Swoosh swoosh. Before Naruto could react, Naruto found himself surrounded by 4 masked ANBU carrying scrolls as big as their bodies. Fuin shouting simultaneously, the 4 ninjas opened their scrolls and complex symbols crawled from the scroll and rushed toward Naruto. Seeing the sealing symbols rush to his body, Naruto tried to jump away, but he was a second late. The seals had already touched him, pinning him in place. Monkey, I'll remember this. You're lucky. If only the seal isn't tight. After leaving ominous words, Naruto fainted when his entire body was covered in seals. ANBU, hearing Hiruzen's call, 3 ANBU flickered beside him and knelt. Sir, bring Naruto back to his apartment. Have someone guard him and don't let him leave. Understood, sir. Flickering next to Naruto, an ANBU picked up his unconscious body and used body flicker technique to bring Naruto back to his apartment. After the ANBU left, Hiruzen rubbed his temple and dispelled his summoning technique. Sigh. ANBU Team 4, give me a detailed report about what happened. 4 ANBU flickered next to Hiruzen and knelt. Yes sir. Drip drip drip. My eyes felt itchy as I opened them. What happened? I thought. Looking around, I realized I was in an unfamiliar place. It was like a maze. The halls were filled with pipes. Some were dripping with water while some were simply broken. There were several paths in front of me. Not knowing where he was nor where the tunnels led to, I simply walked into the nearest hallway. Where am I? Is anyone there? My voice echoed in the hallways. It didn't take long for me to realize that I was alone. Am I dead? Step step step. I walked around for hours. After so much time, I analyzed everything that happened before I fainted. The masked ninja stabbed me in the heart, so I should be dead. And then there was a burning sensation in my abdomen. Is this the afterlife? It looks gloomy. Maybe it was because I already accepted my death, but I was relaxed without anything else to do. I checked my wounds. I took off my shirt. None. There was no wound, much less a hole in my chest. There wasn't even a scar or blood near my chest. There was only a spiraling symbol on my abdomen. What's this weird symbol? Tilting my head in confusion, I kept walking. A symbol I don't recall anyone putting a tattoo on my abdomen. Suddenly my feet halted. A book with a red cover appeared in my mind. Flip 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 flip. Then the pages flipped on their own. Pages crisp and brand new. I couldn't move my head, my eyes glued to the pages and the words inside those pages. My own mind forced me to read what was written on the pages. Seals can be used to seal away objects and living beings. There are cases where seals are used to seal a person or a living being into another person. My eyes widened in horror, and then like a cruel joke, a scene played on my mind to remind me exactly what I wanted to avoid. Hey, stay away from him. Don't play with him, okay? He's dangerous. Come on, let's go. That monster would only hurt you. Don't go near him in the future. He's not human. Stay away from him. Everything clicked. Everything began to make sense. Why the villagers hated me, why they avoided me. This is no tattoo. Tears flowed from my eyes as realization dawned upon me. This is a seal. Someone sealed something inside me, someone sealed the tea that I couldn't bear to finish that thought. I refused to believe that there's no way, no. The fourth Hokage defeated the nine-tailed fox, he killed the nine-tailed fox. Splash, my knees felt weak and I fell to the floor. The water splashed and I was soaked in water, but I didn't care. Tears flowed from my eyes like a waterfall, but I didn't care. There was only one thing on my mind. Why me screamed for who knew how long. By the time I regained my calm, my eyes were bloodshot and my throat was parched. My face was covered in tears and snot, but I ignored it. Looking around, I realized that the maze filled with pipes was no more now. The hallways were covered in thorns and rotting roots. I don't know when or how these thorns and roots appeared, but my gut instincts were screaming at me, telling me that something was wrong. I stood up. Now that I've stood up, I realized that the water on the floor was no more. The floor was now rough earth, like that of a cave. QB, the nine-tailed fox, I don't care if you're sealed inside me. I've decided from now on I won't let anyone decide my fate. I will control the way I live and the way I die. No one gets to decide which road I take, because I will pave my own path, even if it leads to a dead end. The Naruto of yesterday is dead. I have been reborn. I will show the world that I am no weakling who bows to the strong. I am someone who fights against fate. I am someone who molds my own destiny. I am Uzumaki Naruto. Boom vrei, as I declared to myself and to the world. The thorns and rotting roots in the hallways fell off and turned into dust, merging with the floor. The ground shook, but my feet were stable. The world was shaking, but I was firmly on the ground, never wavering. I watched in satisfaction as the walls, ceiling, and floor changed into smooth steel. There were no more deviations in the halls. There was only one path, and it led forward. After 1 minute of walking, I reached a large room. The room was big enough to fit an entire mountain. In the middle of the room was a humongous cage, like the ones used to house dogs, cats, and other pets. Inside the cage was a massive fox with 9 tails, its eyes following each of my steps. How, hearing the voice, I stopped walking and faced the fox. How did you do it? Then the 9-tailed fox tried to stand, but to no avail. The cage was too small for it to stand up. How is this possible? The 9-tailed fox thought just moments ago he had a massive cage and he could move around as much as he wanted. Hell, the gaps between the cage bars were wide enough for his nails to slip through. Now he couldn't even stand. The cage was so small that he could only lie down. If you are here, then this place must be inside of my mind. What is this place called? I asked. Humph, why should I answer a weakling like you? The 9 tails retorted, but deep inside he was horrified and amazed at the same time. Changing the mindscape was not unheard of, but changing it in a matter of minutes, now that's unheard of. Furthermore, he was shocked that Naruto's spiritual power, aka his mind or mental energy, was strong enough to restrain him, that he couldn't even stand. This is absurd. This willpower, this spiritual power, is stronger than Uzumaki Mido and Uzumaki Kushina combined. It reminds me of his son. You don't have to answer, I can hear your thoughts. So this place is called the Mindscape. Naruto mused and looked around, ignoring the wide-eyed fox. What? Bang! Hearing what Naruto said, the 9 tails stood up in shock, but his body hit the cage, instead creating a loud sound. Oh, how the tables have turned. And who are Uzumaki Mido and Uzumaki Kushina? Naruto asked. Why? You can hear my thoughts, answer me. After being ignored by the 9-tailed fox, Naruto's face turned cold and his tone became chilly. Somehow he was irritable today. Impudent brat, you dare order me around? The 9-tailed fox was bewildered and angry. If there was one thing it hated the most, it would be being ordered around by those he didn't acknowledge. Then I'll just force the answers out of your mouth. Naruto sneered and stretched his arms until his palm was facing the fox. Then he clenched his hand into a fist. Ling arg. Suddenly iron chains emerged from the cage and wrapped around the 9-tailed fox's body, preventing him from moving an inch. Boom, 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 boom. Then the cage fell down, one cage bar at a time, and melted into the steel floor, leaving only 10 iron pillars and the 10 sets of chains, each holding down each of the 9-tailed fox's tails and his neck. Roar, not believing that he would be restrained by some weak chains that didn't even have chakra. The 9 tails pulled on the chains hard. Clang, clang, clang. Now choose, will you answer me or not? Seeing that the 9 tails couldn't escape from the chains, Naruto smiled as he mocked the fox. How can he restrain me so easily? Now the fox was panicking. He thought that the chains were weak as they didn't have chakra, but he wasn't expecting that they would be absurdly strong. You ask, how didn't you say to yourself that this is my mindscape and I can change it however I want? You even said something about my spiritual power being stronger than Uzumaki Mido and Uzumaki Kushina. I never said anything, the 9 tails shouted in retaliation, but secretly he gritted his teeth. Damn, I forgot he can hear my thoughts. Whatever, I'll just go to sleep. Hearing what the fox thought as well as seeing the fox close his eyes, Naruto frowned and waved his hands. You think I'll let you? Crack, crack, creak. All of a sudden something similar to a metal pipe scrapping against the floor Echoed throughout the room. The chains holding on the 9 tails began to glow red hot, and then spikes grew out of the chains and stabbed the fox's body. Seeing the spikes, the fox laughed. "You think this hurts me? I am a conglomeration of chakra. I feel no physical pain unless you use chakra." Hearing that, Naruto's eyes narrowed. "Is that so? Thanks for letting me know, Fox. I'll come back soon. I hope you can answer my questions at that time. I don't like inflicting needless pain on you." Seeing that we're in the same boat, after leaving those words, Naruto's body faded from the mindscape and he woke up in the real world. As soon as he opened his eyes, Naruto realized that he was back in his apartment. He was lying on the ground without so much as a blanket beneath him as a cushion. Naruto groaned, his entire body feeling sore. He tried to stand up, but his body felt too heavy and he gave up in the end. Instead, he tried to move his chakra to practice chakra control. After sensing his chakra system, Naruto's face changed into that of surprise. He realized that his chakra system had improved without him doing anything. Is it because of the 9 tails chakra? However, his burning expectation was doused with cold water. In an instant, his smile turned upside down and his eyes dimmed. Why is my chakra harder to control? From what he knew, such a thing was only possible if something was restricting his chakra. Even if a ninja had a godly amount of chakra, controlling it shouldn't be a problem. Of course, excellent chakra control was different from being able to control chakra, but the point is he shouldn't have any problems moving his chakra throughout his body. It was like his chakra was resisting his control. Hold on, there's a foreign chakra in my chakra system. Is it the fox's chakra trying to sabotage me? No way. Furrowing his brows, Naruto focused on expelling the 9 tails chakra out of his body. Drip, drip, drip. After an hour, sweat dripped from his chin and nose. His face was covered in a thick layer of sweat and his clothes were soaked as if he stood outside while it was raining. Why is it not working? No matter how hard he tried, the 9 tails chakra would keep contaminating his chakra. Even after he expelled all of the 9 tails chakra, more would just flow out from the seal on his abdomen. Is it because I am a Jinchuriki, or is it because of the seal? What if I return the chakra to the seal? Hold on, I remember there was a way for beginners to lock a seal. Sitting up, Naruto took off his shirt and threw it on the floor. Plop, his damp shirt landed on the floor, sweat oozing out and wetting the floor. Looking at the mess, Naruto cringed, but he soon turned his attention to the seal on his abdomen. The seal on his abdomen only became visible when he awoke in his mindscape. Okay, let's try it. I can't do the basics of sealing yet, but since there's already a seal on me and I just need to lock it, I should be able to do it. After closing his eyes, Naruto gathered all of the 9 tails chakra in his body into his abdomen, and then he pressed his right hand on his abdomen and poured chakra into the seal. Fuin locks. If the Gur not expecting a painful sensation on his abdomen, Naruto growled and tried to endure the pain. Thankfully, the pain didn't last long and it went away along with the sizzling sound. How it worked. The way to lock a seal was simple. He just poured the 9 tails chakra into the seal and then used his own chakra to block the seal, like using tape to block a hole in the wall. It was crude and basic, but it worked. The only downside was that he needed to renew the chakra blocking the seal every so often or the seal would be unblocked. After observing for a while, Naruto was elated to discover that the seal was no longer leaking the 9 tails chakra. Also, the seal was no longer visible. He could still feel it there, but he couldn't see it anymore since I locked the seal. I wonder how the fox is doing. Meanwhile, inside the seal growled, that bastard. The 9-tailed fox was currently covered in lines of ink. The ink was made of chakra and it wrapped around the 9 tails body. Every time the 9 tails moved, the ink would shake and deform, but it would fix itself after the 9 tails stopped moving. If a seal master were to look at it, they would think of a raft in the middle of the ocean, barely surviving the wild waves and sharp winds. If it weren't for these damn chains, this weak seal wouldn't work on me. The chains that Naruto created were still there as Naruto didn't remove them. Therefore, the 9-tailed fox was unable to destroy the seal, blocking his chakra outside the mindscape. After locking the 9 tails chakra back into the seal, Naruto felt like a fish in the ocean. His chakra flow was so much smoother without the 9 tails interference. There shouldn't be any more problems with my chakra, but it's better to double check. You never know. Thinking that way, Naruto thoroughly checked his entire chakra system. Every nook and cranny of his body was searched. As long as there was chakra to scan, Naruto scanned it to make sure that the 9 tails chakra was thoroughly expelled. Ever since the fox's chakra invaded my chakra system improved rapidly. Maybe I could exploit this. Naruto was about to sever his sensing ability when he noticed something abnormal. After scanning his entire body, he scanned the chakra in his head. Sure enough, he found another foreign chakra source. What's this chakra? It feels warm and pure like an innocent child. When did this chakra get into my body? Confused, Naruto tried to expel the foreign chakra in his head. First it was the Kyuubi's chakra, now there's another chakra in my head. What's next? My parents' chakra will be sealed inside me. Naruto sneered, ridiculing his own thoughts without knowing that he hit the nail perfectly as he worked to remove the foreign chakra in his head. Naruto felt his emotions were changing. The more he drove the foreign chakra away, the more his thoughts became muddled. Does this chakra affect my emotions and thoughts? As soon as he thought of it that way, Naruto's face turned ugly and full of malice. This was the first time he felt such malice towards someone. Is someone trying to brainwash me? Which bastard? Sigh. I just need to remove this chakra and all will be good. Damn, the village is not what it seems. Someone's trying to brainwash me. Then that means I can't show any change to the village, lest the person trying to brainwash me might put more chakra inside my head. Shaking his head, Naruto focused back on removing the chakra inside his head. 30 minutes later. What is this chakra? Why is it so difficult to remove? He had been sitting for 30 minutes already trying his best to dispel the foreign chakra, but to no avail. If the Kyuubi's chakra was akin to stones, then this one is akin to a boulder. Forget expelling it from his body, he can't even move it. If I can't remove it, then I'll just devour it. I don't believe that such a tiny amount of chakra can resist the erosion of my entire chakra system. Naruto knew the method to devour foreign chakra inside his body. Normally the process would occur naturally as his chakra system cycled around his body, but if he wanted to hasten the process, he would have to manually circulate his chakra through his entire body. The faster he could circulate his chakra, the faster he could devour the foreign chakra. Unfortunately, you weren't really devouring the foreign chakra, it was more like eroding it, so you wouldn't get any benefits. If the foreign chakra was harmless, most ninjas would choose to ignore it and let their body passively erode it, because by forcing the process you would become weak for the next few days. Sure. 3. For the second time today, Naruto felt a burning sensation. This time it was inside his head. It was like his brain was being grilled. His eyes became bloodshot from the pain, but he could do nothing but endure it. Almost there. When the foreign chakra sensed that it was being devoured, it fought back. Naruto was not expecting it to fight back and momentarily lost focus. Neither of the 3 books he read said anything about this, so he was unprepared. Nevertheless, the foreign chakra was too small. It was no match to his chakra system. See, haha. Done smiling in victory, Naruto opened his eyes. Suddenly everything spun like a whirlpool on land. The ceiling and the floor switched places. The table and chairs became a spiraling vortex, and even his body was upside down. Thud. With a thud, Naruto fainted, not knowing that inside his body his chakra underwent a qualitative change. Inside his mindscape, the sound of chains hitting each other echoed everywhere, startling the fox who was sleeping inside his cage. As the seconds ticked by, hours passed by like a breeze. In the middle of the room, Naruto lay motionless on the floor, sweat oozing out from every pore of his body. Suddenly Naruto's eyes snapped open, revealing his moist, hazy lavender eyes. For some reason tears trickled from his unfocused eyes, but he barely noticed his mind whirled as he tried to discern the events that transpired. What was that? After removing the foreign chakra deep inside his head, Naruto passed out. Glancing at the clock hanging on the coffee-colored walls, Naruto noticed that only hours had ticked by. Naruto was puzzled. Although forcefully devouring foreign chakra inside one's body had repercussions, he should only feel weak for a couple of days and not faint. Did the chakra knock me out? As a last-ditch effort, Naruto felt uneasy. Closing his eyes, Naruto hastily scanned his entire chakra system, but he found no anomaly. What happened? Naruto was truly confused now, having no other idea as to what could have happened to him. Naruto entered his mindscape. Inside Naruto's mindscape, facing the appalled fox, Naruto was baffled. Never in a million years would he have expected that the mighty and fearless Kyuubi no Yuko would be capable of showing fright. Naruto asked, "Fox, tell me what happened." For a while the fox was silent. Seeing that he was contemplating rather than refusing to answer, Naruto gave the fox time to ponder. Although his willpower was strong enough to bind the nine-tailed fox, he couldn't force the fox to spill the tea. "Uzumaki, Naruto, I want to make a deal with you." Hearing the deep, majestic voice of the Nine Tails, Naruto realized the seriousness of the matter and replied solemnly, "Okay, what do you want?" Seeing that Naruto took his words seriously, the Nine Tails nodded his giant fox head. "The deal is simple. You can use my wisdom. In return, you can't use your chains to bind me." "Chains? Aren't you already bound by chains?" Naruto was taken aback. He used his willpower to create chains inside his mindscape to restrain the unruly fox, but now the fox was asking not to be chained. What kind of wordplay is this? "These chains are different. They're like ordinary ropes made using your willpower. I'm talking about your chakra chains." Chakra chains? Naruto thought for a while before trying to summon the chakra chains that the Nine Tails mentioned. Guessing by the name of the technique, Naruto summoned his chakra and focused on summoning chains. As his chakra spun around his body, Naruto felt his back becoming hot and itchy. It was like a new set of limbs was trying to grow from his back. Clang clang. Then as if someone was scratching his back, Naruto felt the itch subside and he felt like he had just grown wings. Opening his eyes, which had unknowingly closed in pleasure, Naruto saw red chakra chains sprouting from his back. Are these the chakra chains you are talking about? Naruto asked, seeing the chakra chains. The nine tails paused before answering. He had too many bad memories of those chains. Yes, then I agree to the deal. But I want your chakra's help during my training. I read that the tailed beasts desire freedom very much. If you agree to my conditions, then I will help you regain your freedom in the future. You already know that I want to become a seal master, Naruto stated. Hearing the proposal, the nine tails thought for a while and nodded. All right, I'll cooperate with you, but remember the deal. You shall grant me my freedom before you die. If I sense that you are going back on your part of the deal, I will cut off our cooperation, the nine tails said, trying to swing his tails around to look imposing, but remembered that they were still bound by iron chains. Deal. After striking a deal with the giant nine-tailed fox, Naruto smirked and left his mindscape. With Naruto back in his room, Naruto moved his chakra to summon the red chakra chains. Clang clang clang. While he was mesmerized by the chakra chains, to say that it was a work of art would be an understatement. At least according to him, the chains were blood red, with strands of gold like his hair that resembled the sunset. The chains glimmered when light struck them and glowed when he turned off the lights. The chains were thin as a pencil, and it felt light whenever Naruto held it. However, he was aware that it was far from light when he summoned a 3 feet long chakra chain and dropped it on the floor. The floor of his apartment broke. Great, now how do I explain that? Do I just say that I tripped and fell so fast that the floor broke? No way, are you kidding me? The floor was made out of concrete. While Naruto was worrying about the broken floor tile somewhere in an underground basement, an old man rubbed his temples. Suddenly he picked up the cane on his lap and tapped it on the ground. Thud, swoosh swoosh swoosh. Not a moment after his cane touched the ground, dozens of ninjas appeared in front of him, and each of them was wearing a white mask. Who was it? Seeing the entire route kneeling before him, the old man was enraged. For someone who preached about human emotions being unnecessary, his behavior was nothing else but uncharacteristic. Lord Danzo, the new recruit of Root, codename Yomo, caused a commotion in the village and provoked the I know. Before the Root ninja could finish, he was interrupted by his master. Danzo took several deep breaths to calm himself and thought the original plan was to intercept the ANBU guarding the Jinchuriki, to let the civilians provoke him so that he will feel the evil of human nature, giving me an opportunity to pull him into Root. But some meddlesome recruit just had to ruin the plan and unleash the Kyuubi's chakra. Damn it, Hiruzen won't like this. So that's how it is inside the Hokage Tower. Hiruzen looked at the kneeling ANBU in front of him. He's the captain of ANBU Team 4, and he had just finished reporting to Hiruzen. Have your team call Shimura Danzo into my office, Hiruzen ordered, his tone unyielding, leaving no room for argument. Not that the ANBU would dare argue with their master. Yes sir. Then the 4 members of ANBU Team 4 turned into shadows that disappeared in an instant. Not even 10 minutes later, ANBU Team 4 returned and told Hiruzen that Danzo was coming. All right, you are dismissed. Hiruzen waved his hand and waited for Danzo's arrival. He didn't wait for long before he heard the sounds of footsteps outside the office creak the moment the door opened. Danzo, explain, Hiruzen said calmly, but his gaze was colder than ice. Greeted by Hiruzen's cold tone, Danzo didn't answer directly, but instead looked around the office. Seeing that they were alone, Danzo secretly sighed in relief before sitting on a couch on the left side of the office. Hiruzen, I am not involved in this matter, Danzo said. Having known Hiruzen long enough, Danzo knew that he would only get a warning this time, as there were no ANBU or ninjas nearby. Hearing Danzo's poor excuse, Hiruzen raised his brow and asked, oh, then that Root ninja must be a spy after all. How dare a dog bark without the master's permission? Danzo's lip twitched and he felt cold sweat covering his back. He narrowed his eyes. Hiruzen's words hit a threat. The dog was actually referring to him instead of the Root ninja, and the master was obviously Hiruzen. Basically, Hiruzen was asking why Danzo already knew what he was going to talk about when he hadn't even spoken yet. Hiruzen, I really wasn't involved in this matter. Despite the hidden threat, Danzo was adamant in his refusal to admit his fault. Sure, the recruit of Root might have acted on his own, but if you look from another perspective, it meant that Danzo's methods were getting sloppy as he let a recruit run wild in the village. Seeing that Danzo ignored his threat, Hiruzen's eyes narrowed. The atmosphere in the room suddenly turned cold, but the 2 old men were unflinching. Then explain to me why the ANBU's routine was intercepted by an unknown ninja. Hiruzen almost sneered at his sentence. He was aware that the ninjas who intercepted the ANBU guards were from Root Most of the time he would turn a blind eye to this. After all, to him Danzo was a necessary evil. Unfortunately, the matter this time was too severe, and it involved the village's tailed beast. Danzo's face remained expressionless, as if he truly had nothing to do with the matter, and spoke. Then it must mean that the ANBU's methods are inadequate. I suggest Root take over as guards of the Jinchuriki. Danzo's arrogance was displayed in full. He had been allowed to run free for too long, and now he even dared to mock the Hokage's elite ninjas. Hiruzen snorted after hearing Danzo's suggestion. No, after all, the Root division doesn't even know how to handle their recruits. How can they guard the village's Jinchuriki? Hearing that, Danzo's face finally changed. In his view, he was allowed to mock the ANBU, but no one was allowed to mock his Root, not even the Hokage. Root was his pride. Hiruzen, watch your tone, humphed Danzo. Don't forget who the Hokage is. That's all, you are dismissed. Hiruzen narrowed his eyes and smiled, but his smile didn't reach his eyes, which were cold as ice. Also, as Hokage, I ought to help my subordinates. I will be sending 3 teams of ANBU to watch over Root for you so that this matter will not be repeated again. It took Danzo 2 seconds to pick up his jaw, which fell to the floor. It took him another 2 seconds to process Hiruzen's ridiculous statement. Imagine this: you were a king living the life of an emperor, but then another king came in and said, hey, I will send over my troops to monitor your troops, and you can't do shit to stop it. Danzo's hands were clenched into a fist, shaking in rage. He wanted to stab a kunai through Hiruzen's heart, but alas, he was too weak to pull it off. Returning to Root's hideout, Danzo sneered in his heart and thought, Hiruzen, you've gone senile. If you think that it's so easy to suppress me, then you're sorely mistaken. I'll pay you back for this humiliation. Back in Root, damn that Hiruzen shattered, throwing a wine glass on the floor. It shattered into hundreds of fragments of glass that covered the floor in a thin layer. Crack, crunch. Walking over the shattered pieces of glass, Danzo listened to the sharp, crisp sound of glass being crushed under his sandals. After walking to his throne, Danzo sat absent-mindedly gazing at the chips of glass on the floor. As time passed, Danzo felt himself calming down. Finally, after he calmed down, he felt satisfied and began formulating a plan for the future. Under Hiruzen's close watch, I'll have to lay low for the next year. Tisk, all those years of planning gone like a fleeting bubble in the desert. I was this close to getting my hands on the Jinchuriki. Danzo was a cold and merciless man. He would do whatever it took to get his hands on the things he wanted. As soon as he learned of the news about the Jinchuriki's status, he leaked the information to the public to unite Konoha and center their hatred on one person. Once that happens, he would become the sympathetic veteran ninja who would give Naruto the wisdom and kindness of an old man. If everything went according to plan, the Jinchuriki would fall into his lap. Unfortunately, nothing ever goes as planned in the unforgiving, deceitful world of the ninjas. No, I still have a chance to win over the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. If I remember correctly, he should be going to the academy soon. Danzo thought, a sinister smile spreading across his aged face. Satisfied with the plan he formulated, Danzo tapped his cane twice on the floor. Then a Root ninja appeared in front of him. Observe the Jinchuriki, report everything to me, and when he goes to the academy, arrange someone to become his friend. He should be easy to manipulate, so when the time comes. Danzo paused and smirked. He didn't finish his sentence, but the Root ninja didn't care and bowed to Danzo, showing that he understood the mission. Although he was being strictly watched by Hiruzen, he wasn't worried about Hiruzen learning of his movements. ANBU was better at frontal assault and ambush, but Root was better at assassination and spying. Both have their strengths and weaknesses, and for what Danzo planned to do, he was not afraid of being found. Hiruzen, I'll make you pay for this humiliation. Danzo thought the surveillance of Hiruzen was getting on his nerves. He felt humiliated, even though Hiruzen's ANBU ninja was effectively useless when it comes to observing his movements. That's what irritated him the most. It was like he was forced to behave himself as a child watches over him. It's too shameful. Well, the Uchiha is still alive, and well, I can shift his focus to the Uchiha clan and get rid of his ANBU that way. Danzo mused. With Naruto in the middle of a dimly lit room, a short figure covered in black sat with a wronged expression. He was holding a brush that was similarly covered in ink, and everything around him was painted black as if they were burnt. Opening his eyes, his pale lavender eyes formed a contrast on his ink-covered face, making him frown even more. In front of him, a scroll was laid open, soaked in ink, while the ink bottle he just unpacked was knocked down, spilling all the ink inside. What a disaster! Naruto thought he was trying to make an explosive tag seal, but he didn't even get to write a single thing on the scroll when the ink suddenly exploded and splattered everywhere. The first step in writing a seal was to infuse chakra into The ink without this step, the seal, would just be a decoration without function. However, the moment his chakra touched the ink, it exploded like a water bomb, and now he was covered in ink. Not only that, the walls, floor, ceiling, the cabinet, the bed, everything was black, covered in ink. Taking off his shirt, Naruto sighed. His face was darker than charcoal thanks to the ink, but his body was still fair and delicate. The contrast was too hilarious to look at, but he couldn't laugh. There goes my first ink bottle. I thought it would last me for at least a week, never thought that it wouldn't last for even a day. Before the incident with the masked ninja happened, Naruto bought 3 bottles of ink, costing him everything he had. He planned to create some explosive tags to sell to earn his money back, but alas, he was too arrogant. I need more chakra control. Naruto put down the brush and closed the bottle of ink that was nearly empty, every last drop counted at this point. Either way, such issues can be pushed at a later time. He was dying to take a bath. After he took a bath, Naruto first brushed his apartment clean, and as a result, the rug he used to wipe off the ink was now jet black, and his hands were covered in ink once again. When he finally finished cleaning, it was already dark outside, and he decided to sleep first. When he awoke the next day, it was 6 a.m., and after eating breakfast, Naruto took out a brand new scroll. In the bottle of ink from yesterday, there was still some leftover ink at the bottom of the bottle, and he wanted to use it for practice. Before that, I should train my chakra control so as to avoid the same problem from yesterday, Naruto thought, and pulled out a bag with 2 colored sand. Writing seals demands excellent chakra control. When I am able to separate the 2 colored sand from this bag, I should be ready to write seals. Clearing his mind of any unnecessary thoughts, Naruto set his focus on the chakra control exercise. It didn't take long for him to realize that the chakra control he was attempting was too advanced for his level. Then he remembered something. They said that according to a person's chakra volume, the chakra control exercise will be different. The problem is I don't know how much chakra I have. Facing such a problem, Naruto wanted to ask the Hokage for answers, but then shook his head. I can't trust anyone, not even the Hokage or his ninjas. He still hadn't forgotten what the masked ninja did to him. If it weren't for the 9 tails inside of him, he would have been dead. I guess I can ask the 9 tails. Naruto closed his eyes and entered the mindscape. Fox, answer me, how much chakra do I have compared to the ninjas around the village? Having already anticipated Naruto's question from listening to his thoughts, the 9-tailed fox replied without a pause, you have an average Chunin's chakra. Okay, thanks, it's nothing. You don't have to enter the mindscape in the future. I can also hear your thoughts. You can just think about your questions and I'll answer them, the 9 tails replied. Oh, then that'll be helpful, thank you, Fox. Naruto then left his mindscape and began to think of a training plan when a random question floated into his mind. Oh right, Fox, is my current chakra level good? He was only 4 years old, and after hearing that he had the chakra level of an average Chunin, Naruto couldn't help but wonder if it was good or bad. Inside his mind, he heard the fox snort, ha, it's more than good. Normally only 20-year-olds and above will have Chunin level chakra. The talented ones will have Chunin level chakra by the age of 10, and geniuses have Chunin level chakra earlier than 10. The 9 tails paused in contemplation before continuing. You, on the other hand, will have Jonin level chakra when you reach your 10th birthday. If you keep abusing my chakra to improve your chakra system, you might have beyond tailed beast level chakra by the time your chakra system matures. Tailed beast level, Naruto asked. He was ignorant of how the ninja system worked. He only knew that there were Genin, Chunin, Jonin, and the Kage of villages. Basically all Kage will have Kage level chakra, which is about equal to 10 Jonin. 1 Jonin will have a chakra level equal to around 10 Chunin. Of course, that's the simplified version and inaccurate. Let's not forget about elite Chunin, special Jonin, elite Jonin, and tailed beast level. Tailed beast level, a human can actually have as much chakra as a tailed beast. Naruto was shocked. This was the first time he heard of this. Let me tell you something about history. The noblest clans, the Hyuga, Uchiha, Senju, and Uzumaki, have the largest chakra volumes compared to other clans. There are some exceptions, but let's ignore them for now. The Hyuga have the lowest chakra level among the 4, but it's still nothing to scoff at. All adult Hyuga will have special Jonin's chakra, and that's without training. On the other hand, the Uchiha and the Senju clan have about the same chakra level, but thanks to the Sharingan, the Uchiha exhaust their chakra faster than the Senju, giving the illusion that the Senju have more chakra than the Uchiha. The Senju, while not having the Sharingan, have an excellent physique, second only to the Uzumaki. An average Uchiha and Senju will have an elite Jonin's chakra level, while the more talented ones possess Kage level chakra. On the other hand, geniuses like Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama possess tailed beast chakra levels. The 9 tails paused after describing the 2 legends in the Ninja World. What about the Uzumaki? I'm also an Uzumaki, right? Yes, you are part of the Uzumaki clan. Your Uzumaki blood has been awakened already, so there's not much difference between you and a pure-blooded Uzumaki. The Uzumaki have many unique abilities that stem from their physique that they inherited from the Sage of Six Paths. The most well-known is the Chakra Chains. The one you have unlocked, it is used in junction with Sealing Jutsu, but it is mostly used to restrain chakra and as bijou. Are masses of chakra. Those chakra chains became the enemies of the tailed beasts. That was why I told you not to use them on me. Remembering the deal he made with the Nine Tails, Naruto nodded his head in realization. The most impressive about the Uzumaki clan is their chakra level. All adult Uzumaki will possess Kage level chakra, while the talented ones can easily attain tailed beast level chakra. Their only shortcoming is their unhinged personality. Ignoring the comment regarding the personalities of the Uzumaki clan for now, Naruto couldn't help but ask, how much chakra do you have? As if expecting the question, Naruto heard the Nine Tails chuckle. I have more chakra than all the other tailed beasts combined, the Nine Tails said proudly. Wow, so cool, you have so much chakra. Although he only had a vague idea of how much chakra a tailed beast possessed, Naruto was still amazed. Since tailed beasts have more chakra than any humans alive, he assumed that a tailed beast must have more chakra than a Kage. Since there were 9 tailed beasts and the 9 tails have more chakra than the other 8 combined, that must mean that at minimum the 9 tails have as much chakra as 9 Kage, especially considering the fact that a tailed beast's chakra must be higher than his guess. It makes the 9 tails more impressive. As he was admiring the chakra powerhouse inside of him, Naruto suddenly had a thought. If you have so much chakra, how come you were defeated by the 4th Hokage? Naruto tilted his head in wonder. Compared to the first Hokage, no matter how much he idolized the 4th Hokage, he simply didn't hold a candle against the legendary first Hokage, not to mention that he came from a civilian family. The problem lies with ninjutsu and other ninja techniques that you humans developed. We tailed beasts are naturally different from humans, similar to how a spider can produce silk but humans can't, and how humans can talk while spiders can't. The tailed beasts, who are pure masses of chakra, can't use the ninjutsu and other techniques that you humans invented. The Nine Tails paused and reminisced about the old era when his father was still alive. Back then ninjutsu wasn't a thing. Well, it was, but it wasn't as widespread as it is today. For example, if I try to use a clone jutsu, it wouldn't work because the clone jutsu is based on human anatomy and the chakra system of humans. Tailed beasts don't have a chakra system, nor do we have an anatomy similar to a human. We are simply massive lumps of chakra. Hearing this, Naruto rubbed his chin in enlightenment. So that's how it is. But it seems that the Nine Tails wasn't finished talking. Of course, over the centuries we tailed beasts have invented our own ways to use our chakra. For example, I developed a technique to sense negative emotions when I was relatively young, and as we realized the need for self-defense in battle, we invented the tailed beast bomb. After the Nine Tails finished talking, Naruto was enlightened. Before his talk with the nine-tailed fox, Naruto thought that as long as you had chakra you could use ninjutsu. He never knew that the chakra of tailed beasts was different from human chakra. Well, I guess it should have been obvious that our chakra would be different. One is a human and one is a giant behemoth. As usual, the fox chuckled after hearing my thoughts. Okay, thank you, fox. The Nine Tails didn't reply. Now that his conversation with the fox was over, Naruto realized that he was talking to himself inside his room. Of course he could hear the Nine Tails words and vice versa, but how weird would it be if someone saw him talking to himself? He would be instantly labeled as crazy. I should develop the habit of thinking first before talking. His entire life Naruto poured all of his emotions and thoughts into words as soon as he felt them or thought of them, but after removing the foreign chakra in his head, Naruto felt like he was liberated from a cage that was holding him back. The first major change was he learned to doubt other people's words and actions. Well, learning all of that is good and all, but I still can't draw a single explosive tag seal. End of flashback. A week later, Naruto was panting like a dog who had just finished running a marathon. He couldn't count the number of times he was covered in sweat over the last week, but he couldn't care less if he filled an entire pool with his sweat. The progress he was making with his training was making every cell in his body excited. Right now he was training chakra control. He had given up writing explosive tags after he failed to infuse chakra into the ink for 3 days, so he focused his mind on chakra control training. However, he encountered a troublesome issue. Each time he finished his chakra control training, he would be exhausted and he would be sweating all over. He hadn't moved an inch during any of his chakra control exercises, but his body sweated and felt heavy like he ran for a week straight. Maybe the fox Knows without wasting a second. Naruto entered his mindscape. There he was greeted by the fox. His mindscape was once again remodeled by him. His mindscape changed 3 times now, and the fox was getting annoyed with it and made him promise to not change it again. He suspected that the real reason why the fox didn't want him to change his mindscape for a 4th time was that he liked his current condition. The mindscape was now an endless plain with grass and flowers carpeting the entire earth. Around them, with a massive boulder over the distance, the seal was represented by a moat around the 9-tailed fox, and the 9-tailed fox can't step over the moat even if he wanted to. There was an invisible dome around the 9-tailed fox. The 9-tailed fox gained a lot of freedom compared to his previous 2 cages, but the seal was still active. If Naruto wanted to remove the seal, he would have to break the giant boulder behind him, and the 9-tailed fox awoken by his arrival. The 9-tailed fox opened his eyes and revealed his blood-red slitted pupils. Then his imposing voice filled the mindscape. So you finally thought to ask me? It took you long enough. Don't worry, your current condition is not dangerous or detrimental to your future growth. You've just developed your chakra system a few months ago on your 4th birthday. Your body is simply not used to chakra, hence the reason you always feel tired when you use chakra. After talking, the 9-tails returned to his slumber. Naruto sweat dropped at the fox's behavior, but he didn't bother his sleep and left the mindscape. Okay, thank you again, fox. Although the fox's personality could be better, Naruto didn't complain. Even though they weren't exactly friends, knowing someone was by your side all the time was relatively refreshing, especially for him who didn't have anyone by his side since birth. Maybe we can become friends one day. Naruto's daily routine barely changed. After that, he would train, eat, and sleep. He couldn't go out because of the ANBU outside his door. He learned that they were called ANBU after some ninja passed by and greeted them as Sir ANBU. Apparently the ANBU was sent by the Hokage to keep him from leaving his apartment under the guise of protection. The idea alone disgusted him. He was only 4 years old, but he wasn't as ignorant as the average 4 years old. He was a ninja in training. He was bound to mature faster than normal kids. Furthermore, he had a fox full of wisdom inside his head. If he didn't mature faster than regular kids, he would be a laughingstock. Another thing that he noticed was that after he removed the foreign chakra in his head, his mind was like a horse that tasted freedom for the first time. Back then, he was like a thirsty man in a desert searching for the sweet water called affection, love, and attention. Now he was still a thirsty man in a desert searching for sweet water, but this time, the water he was searching for was called knowledge. He was intelligent, very intelligent, but he lacked the knowledge to fuel his intelligence. He wanted to read books in the library, but he couldn't even leave his house thanks to the 3rd Hokage protecting him, making him very annoyed. Days turned into months, months turned into years, seasons came in and went like the fleeting breeze, and for a moment last year felt like yesterday. 6 years had gone by since Naruto's rampage in Konoha. In the streets of Konoha, a boy with sunset hair strolled about with his hands tucked in his pockets. He had a lollipop in his mouth, and his eyes dazedly watched the birds singing in the trees and flying in the sky. He wondered how good it would be if he could fly. He sighed. Unfortunately, he only knew how to sing, not fly. Looking back to where he was walking, he smiled in satisfaction. The streets were empty. Well, to be exact, it was stuffed. The center of the streets was wide open, and the civilians all walked on the side of the street. They avoided him like he was the plague, like if they went near him they would die. Naturally, they weren't doing this out of love and respect. They did this out of fear and disgust. Yes, fear. 6 years ago, a month after his rampage, he realized that the disgust the villagers had for him turned into malice. Some villagers threw vegetables at him, while some threw spoiled eggs at him. At first he thought that it was good training to hone his ability to dodge, but when a civilian threw a glass bottle at him, he snapped. Flashback. Get out of here, you beast, yelled a man with olive-colored eyes and black hair, gripping the glass bottle in his hand tightly. He raised his hand and aimed at Naruto, who was leisurely dodging the eggs and vegetables being thrown at him. Then the man threw the glass bottle at Naruto. Not expecting someone to throw a glass bottle at him, Naruto failed to dodge the heavy object and was hit on the head, falling on the ground. In an instant he was pelted with whatever garbage the villagers threw at him, but it stopped not a moment later. Covered in waste, Naruto raised his head and stared at the man who threw the glass bottle on his head, his blood-red slitted eyes gazing at the man's soul. Picking up the glass bottle that somehow didn't break, Naruto ran toward the man and smashed the glass bottle on the man's head. Bang, shatter. As the bottle hit the man's head, it shattered and the sharp shard of glass stuck on the man's head, making him bleed. Help, help, stop. Naruto didn't stop. He used the sharp glass bottle and beat the man to a bloody pulp. His once muscular body was now covered in blood and glass shards. His face was full of tears and snot. Halt! Before Naruto could do anything more, the Uchiha police force came and separated Naruto and the bloodied man. Then the ANBU arrived and took the man away. With the man gone, the attention shifted to Naruto. The Uchiha frowned at him, but the villagers looked at him with fear. From that day onwards, no one dared to mess with him. The villagers made way for him, and when he went to their shops they trembled and gave him the lowest price possible. Naruto was happy with the result and forgot about the man in an instant. End of flashback.